Everyone and their mother has talked about how to get into wargaming. From buying hundreds of dollars worth of Games Workshop Christmas boxes to the free one-page rules, there's plenty of ways to get into the hobby. However, I think there is one truly outstanding wargame that is incredibly fun to play, elegant in its design, easy to learn, and full of outstanding supplements. Plus, you can play it for less than $30. That game is Frostgrave, the fantasy wizard treasure hunt 'em up by Joseph A. McCullough. I'm going to tell you all about it, and why it's my favorite way to get people into wargaming, and why it's so unbelievably cheap. Frostgrave is a skirmish game, but unlike some other skirmish games, it is model agnostic. This means you can just use about any model that's vaguely 28mm in scale, like your average GW, D&D, or Wargames Atlantic models. Also, unlike many wargames, it has an exact number of minis you need, 10. A wizard, an apprentice, and 8 goons. That's it. No more, no less. It is a treasure collection game that takes all the good and none of the bad from the classic Mordheim. In short, 2 or more warbands, led by your esteemed or nefarious wizard or witch, necromancer, paladin, orc, shaman, you name it, are going up to some blasted ruin or dungeon to steal trinkets. You want the same trinkets your opponent has, but you're not there to explicitly kill each other. It's not a game where you're forced to truly be against one another, you just both want the same things. In the way are traps, monsters, and wicked scenarios. But the best part is, you can play this game in less than 2 hours. And I don't mean can, as in like Kill Team, where only if you're really good can you get it to be like an hour 45, 2 hours. No, this game is just that quick to play. Most games last about an hour. Your learning game's probably going to be 2 hours. It's really nice and quick, and with the campaign system being so good, you're never outpacing one another by losing or winning too much. You're there to pick up treasure tokens, not to murder each other. So if you just have a bunch of free thieves, you're still going to be able to outrun most of the big, expensive, heavy knights. And it uses a D20 system, so that means that the +1s and +2s that you're getting from upgrades and stuff never really outscale each other. And you can only have 10 models, minimum and maximum, so you're never going to be outgrowing the opponent. Plus, you're there to pick up treasure tokens, not murder each other, so if you manage to get the amount of loot that you want, you can just leave the board. When both players agree that they've got what they've come for, the game ends. You shake hands, and then you start rolling on the treasure table. Despite being a quick and easy game to learn, it's by no means dull or mind-numbingly simple. One-page rules is great for being so plainly simple that it makes playing large-scale battles really fun. I love playing 3,000, 4,000 points of one-page rules, but the skirmish game system leaves much to be desired in terms of depth. Only having a couple models on the table, only doing such limited actions, it's not very interesting. Whereas Frostgrave has flavor oozing out of its many systems, and the magic system is just delightful. You roll a d20, you roll to attempt to cast your spell. If you need a 15, you roll a 12. You can spend hit points equal to the difference of the spell to cast it, meaning you can really gamble to get those cool spells off. Better yet, these spells are all flavorful, useful, and written clearly. So you just need to read what the spell does and do it. There's no archaic page flipping rulings. There's no big keywords that you have to go search for. Take fog, for example. You place a line of fog 6 inches long, 3 inches high, and 1 inch thick anywhere on the table as long as some part of it is within line of sight of the spellcaster, and all of it is within 24 inches. Figures can move through the fog with no penalty, but line of sight may not be drawn through it. At the start of each turn, you roll a die. On a result of 1 to 4, the fog dissipates and is removed from the table. That's it. It's that easy. You might say, well, Nick, that must be expensive too, right? Wargaming is expensive. We all know that. But actually, no, well, at first you wouldn't say that because it's in the title of the video. But second, Frostgrave is cheap. 10 models is all you need, no more or less. I've said that a bunch. But guess what? That's less than a dinner out. Let's break down a couple options for this. I got 4 real options I'm going to go through here. First things first, Frostgrave has specific miniatures for the game, and they're great and cheap. They're also a multi-part plastic kit, which is really exciting. They're super versatile, and they come with a lot. Each multi-part warrior kit is about $20 for 20 models, And the wizard kit is 15 bucks for 8 models with loads and loads of options. This means that if you're just buying for yourself, it's still cheaper than a Warcry warband, but you're going to have a bunch of extra models that you won't be able to use because you only have 10 models needed. However, my recommendation is either A, to find a friend and split the box. That way, each of you can take home 14 models, which allows you to have 4 extra sitting around waiting to be used for new adventurers you might acquire throughout your Frostgrave campaign. This comes out to about 17 bucks a person, which is like a lunch, and is my personal recommendation. Or B, if you have the money, I would frankly recommend just buying both kits for 35 bucks total so that you do have a spare warband. Uncle Adam from Tabletop Minions just made a great video about this recently. If you want to get someone to play a wargame with you, the easiest way to make that happen is to already have a demo army ready for them to try out. Then they can make the decision to buy in. Having a bunch of models and saying, hey friend, pick which ones you think look cool from a list here. You can just have them make a warband at the table and get going. But if you just want to make a warband for yourself, there's some other cheap options as well. Reaper Minis is another great option. They have individual models that are pre-built, really characterful for about $3 to $4. However, if you want to make a warband and really save some money here with Reaper Minis, you can do a bunch of goblins serving a goblin wizard, which you can because you'll find that the packs of 4 goblins are $4. The Goblin Warrior pack and the Goblin Pyre pack both have a similar price there, and the War Chanter individual model can also be your wizard, and you'll be able to find another for your apprentice. In total, that's about 16 bucks, and that way you don't have to worry about having to build a kit if you're not interested in that. Another option are D&D minis. D&D minis are absolutely everywhere. They're the pre-primed, pre-built little models, the Nalzur's Marvelous Miniatures. They're super cheap. They don't have great resolution, but they are cheap. $5 for 2 models means that it's going to be about 25 bucks for a full force. And while Reaper Minis are better for, in my opinion, the D&D models are just everywhere and are pre-primed and come with bases, which is a big plus if you don't already have bases. They're usually 25mm bases, circles, and so that you'll just be able to use those nice and easy. Frostgrave doesn't have a particular base size required because everything is model to model, so you don't have to worry about that, but it is nice to have those bases. Don't worry, that siren was not for me. If you have Warcry warbands and you're coming from GW Games and want to jump right in, Frostgrave is a perfect place to use your Warcry warbands, or even your old Mordheim models if you have any. I use the Jade Obelisk warband for Frostgrave, and it works great. The Serpent Fellow makes for a really good summoned demon. Additionally, I use my Frostgrave Empire models for this game as well. Now, you'll also need the rules. If you look up Frostgrave PDF and scroll past the 3 links that link to the PDF for free, you'll find a drive-through RPG link for the book. 25 bucks is a really nice searchable PDF. It's really not bad. But the game also frequently goes on sale, and I know Frostgrave was given out for free by Osprey just a couple years ago. You can also find a load of rules videos on YouTube to get you started. Frankly, I suggest trying the game for free through YouTube or otherwise, and then picking up the physical book once you know you like it. That's what I did. The physical book is really nice and usable at the table, and now I've gone and also bought a dozen of other great supplements. Something to know is that Frostgrave has a first and second edition, but all the first edition supplements work for second edition with only tiny tweaks. Here is a list of all the additional mercenaries you can hire from each of the supplements. I've played with the Spellcaster Magazine issue 1, which has gunpowder rules, and I've very much enjoyed them. It's a great addition for those who have lots of pistols and handguns from your Empire Mordheim folks. All the supplements are super well balanced, all the scenarios are super cool, and I definitely recommend them. I think Frostgrave is the perfect welcome into wargaming for just about anyone. Someone who's into D&D is going to have a D20 and is certainly going to understand how they can use that D20 to roll for things. Someone coming from other skirmish games are going to really be able to pick up this game easily as well. It's sort of just the perfect all-around wargame that I think is much better than some of the other options for getting into wargames. The price really helps, and it makes it so that you're not looking at spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars to get into a game you might not even enjoy. And if you don't end up liking Frostgrave, you can use these minis for just about anything. You can use them for one-page rules skirmish if you're into that. You can use it for Dungeons & Dragons or other tabletop role-playing games. These are just generic fantasy models, so at the end of the day, you're not going to be bought into a specific universe either. I know I'll be using these models for the old world, which is Warhammer Fantasy Battles. It's the big battle army game, but I'll be able to use my Frostgrave models as some free company militia. And with that, thanks so much for watching. Please do all the things that YouTubers beg you to do. I have a Patreon in the description if you want to support me. This is just my hobby, so I appreciate whatever you got. Additionally, more importantly, is my Instagram with all my hobby stuff. I'd rather you look at my minis than really anything else. It makes me very happy. So if you want to go look at those, you can check over there. If you're still here, thanks for watching. Have a great day. I'll see you around.